Hello everybody, Big Plains here. Now before I get into this video about the B-52D stratofortress, I would like to give a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel over on Patreon. It means a lot to me, and it's one of the reasons why I'm even able to build these giant airplanes. So yeah, if that's something that you are interested in doing, I will leave a link in the description below. So I've made quite a bit of progress to the B-52D since you've last seen it, and that is what I'm going to cover in this video. So a lot of progress has been made not only to things that are mounted on the wings, but almost more importantly to the undercarriage assembly area, which is a little bit difficult to see from this angle, but I will try to do my best to get you guys as close to the progress I've made as possible. So before I talk about the landing gear, which is really the interesting part of this video, I'm going to quickly discuss the pylons right here. So these right here on both sides, it's basically symmetrical, it's the same on both sides. These are the wing-mounted pylons. Now, this model of B-52, this is a B-52D, I think I've said that multiple times. This B-52 is the one that served in Vietnam, so it is a big belly B-52, which means it was basically switched over from a nuclear strike role to a just conventional bombing role. So this would have been used in just Vietnam when it comes to carpet bombing, and yeah, so this is not a really nuclear capable B-52. This is just more of a conventional B-52, as most of them are these days. So I thought I would try to represent that the best by mounting, I believe these were just would be considered dummy bombs under the wings. So yeah, just lots and lots of dummy bombs, and they're basically just, you just drop them. They're not guided or anything. I know later B-52s had JDAMs. Those are the larger guided bombs, the big sand green ones. I believe that B-52H I made had those mounted in the under the pylons, under the wings. But in this case, I just went with a little more of a simple design. These are all built in old dark gray, so this was a little challenging for me. I wanted to build them initially in olive green, except the parts just don't exist to do that. I couldn't get the cones, I couldn't get the cylinders, so I decided to build them in old dark gray, which is, in my opinion, the next closest color to conventional olive drab. So that's what I went with there. Again, this is just historically correct as to what these planes would have carried during the Vietnam War. Whether you agree with it or not, that is how I wanted to represent this. Another thing that I wanted to get right were the pretty massive fuel tanks. So this one is not attached right now, but this is a beginning of a design. I kind of ran out of parts. I need to obviously fill some of these gaps along the sides here and underneath, but these would have been the fuel tanks that would get mounted at the very ends of the wings. Now, these things are massive. The previous B-52 I built did not have fuel tanks that were this absurdly large, so I'm a little concerned that having something this big at the end of the wing like this might cause some more warpage, but I'm going to do my best to make these as light as possible, so I'm going to optimize the construction as best as I can to keep these light so they don't cause too many problems. You can see the outrigger wheels don't even touch the ground, so we still have some room for wing flex. The real B-52 did have a fair bit of wing flex when it was fully loaded with fuel and munitions and all of that, so this is still accurate to what the real stratofortress would look like, but I just want to, for my sake, keep the outrigger wheels off of the ground even when the wing is fully loaded. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, the boring stuff like the fuel tanks and the bombs, let's talk about the more complicated stuff, which is the landing gear and the undercarriage and even the bomb bay. So it's going to be a little tricky to show you from this angle, and again, on the final video for this model, I will show you in depth how this works. But you can see here that basically these doors right here would open, and these gears would fold. This one would fold back, this one would fold forward, I believe. Yeah, and then the doors would shut, and that's how that would work. It's basically symmetrical on the front to the back. I think I'm going to need to get stronger hinges to keep these doors open, but I will replace those when I flip this over. Obviously, this right here is not done. This right here is the technique I will be using. I will extend this all the way back. Obviously, it's not just going to be dark tan. It will be camouflage pattern. and I just ran out of parts there, so I'm waiting on a Bricklink order to be able to do that. You can see the bomb bay here. Again, the interesting thing with the bomb bay is that the B-52 actually had an interesting mechanism with the doors. So it wasn't just one door. There are actually two doors here. So there's this door right here, which you see the whole thing is moving at the hinge point right here. This is the door that would not be opened during flight. This is only really for ground loading stuff. The door that would be open during flight is this one right here. So I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand, kind of like that. So that's the door that would be opened during flight. So it'll look more like this during flight, right? So this little door right here would open. This bigger door would just allow, I just knocked that off. This bigger door here would allow for carts to get underneath the bomber to be able to actually load stuff into the bomb bay, since there's not a whole lot of clearance right here. So that was the idea there, at least. So I wanted to replicate that in Lego as best I could. So yeah, I think this has gone along pretty well. Obviously it does, well, not obviously, but it does break apart right here for transport. I did my best to ensure that that is not a structural weak point when this thing is fully assembled, because that would really kind of stink if this thing just decided to snap in half when I put more weight on it. But yeah, that's gonna probably wrap it up. I also carried over this fuselage over the wings. I tried my best to cover up all the gaps here, so this is a pretty smooth transition now, and I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how this is looking. I'm hoping in the next update I can have the rear end right here done, and I can also maybe even start on the nose, or even finish the nose. We'll see. And I think we're getting pretty close to the end here. Even though it just looks like a wing right now, all of the tricky parts have basically been dealt with. So the landing gear and the wing carry through was definitely the hard part in building this. So hopefully going forward it is going to go pretty quickly, and I'm hoping within the next few weeks I'm looking at having a completed model. Ugh, I can't talk. I'm hoping within the next few weeks to have a completed model. So yeah, I'm literally looking forward to seeing what this thing is going to look like when it's done, because it's going to be this beautiful full camo B-52D stratofortress. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and again, I'm going to try to keep my cadence going up a little more. The Bricklink orders have been coming in kind of slowly, so hopefully this thing can stay on schedule. So yeah, that's all I'm going to really have for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys come back for more, because more is always on the way. So that's it for this video, and bye for now.